Good afternoon, good morning, good day, everybody, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Empowered Wellness series, second edition of 2024. And as we promised in the beginning of the year, considering that goal setting is such a big thing in January, particularly, and starting in December, that we decided to dedicate this entire month to goal setting and share with you a lot of nuggets all around that topic. So in the first session, if you have been watching, if not, then you can go back and watch the replay. We were talking about the what are the goals, why is it important? So we just unpacked the whole topic a little bit, and today we will dive a little deeper into the practicalities. So all of us will be sharing valuable insights based on our own personal experience, practices that worked best for us, and you can see what is it that you would like to take away and use it for yourself going forward. Before we go there, let us introduce ourselves with our beautiful ladies on the panel. And yeah, let's start with Rupsha. Would you like to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your background?
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. That was wonderful. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and a very good day to all of you. Happy New Year. Since I missed the first edition of this session, so yes. All right, so I'm Rupsha Bhattacharya, logging in from Calcutta, India. I'm a stress management coach and a yoga therapist. So what I basically do, I work on four pillars of wellness, which is exercise, breathing, then sleep, relaxation, then food, nutrition, and lastly stress management. And then I help individuals and working professionals to inculcate new habits so that they can reach their bigger goals and potentials. That's what I've been a yogini for the past 20 plus years now, and I've been doing this for the past 5 years. So there I go. All right. Thanks, Sylvia.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rupsha, for sharing. Great to have you here. Georgette, over to you.
Hello, everybody. This is Georgette 𝐃𝐿. I am calling in from Little Rock, Arkansas, middle of the United States. I am a holistic health and wellness coach and a progress catalyst. And what that is that I coach people who are ready to take the next step and get into action and to get into the next level of their lives and being their very best selves. I am a nurse, I'm an author, and I'm a speaker as well. And back to you, Sylvia.
Thank you. Wonderful to have you here as well. So, as you noticed, probably we are from all over the world, representing the entire globe. It's so beautiful to connect from all over. I am based from Dubai. My name is Sylvia Vitos, and I'm a leadership well-being coach and consultant, helping corporate senior leaders and executives find that balance inside out so they too can live a happier and healthier life. And I do that by tapping into four key pillars. One is mindset, the way we think and develop ourselves. The next one is the physical well being, which has a tremendous impact on your leadership excellence. The other third one is heart set, which is all about emotional intelligence. And then last but not least, soul set, which talks about the connections to self, others, and to a higher energy, whatever it means for you. So that's about me. And then now let's dive into our exciting topic of goal setting. And we are sharing here best practices and based on our own experience. So I would love to first hear from our beautiful ladies based on your experience, because there are so many different ways for goal setting, right? We hear all kind of ideas and advices out there, and sometimes similarly, like with which food should we then now be eating, also with the goal setting, we get so overwhelmed. What idea, what practical way or approach could actually work for me? So now we are going to share what works for us. So I would love to hear from you. What are your favorite goal setting tools? and what made it work for you? Rupsha, would you like to start with that?
Yes. Yes, I will. Thank you. Now, goal setting. As you said, and it really hit a chord with me, like it's so overwhelming, goal setting. And since you guys know me, when I try to do something, I get overwhelmed with ideas, and there's so many rushing. You you always, like, you're there to help me to put that break, right? So for me, goal setting, yeah, I have always this. I'll come from my own experience. Like, I would sit with goals, and there'll be so many, and I'll just write them, and they're gone. God knows what's happening with them. But then when I started using certain practical techniques, I would say one really works for me is the Eisenhower matrix, where you basically, so how I have like smaller goals, bigger goals, not too many. And then I see which is like, so there are four matrices, right? You can like check it out online. So urgent, important, urgent but not important, important but not urgent, neither important nor urgent. So first I break down my whatever my goals or certain anything, any habit that I'm looking at, I break them down like that. And then see, I can't do with too many things which are too complicated, too much of technology. So I go very basic, minimal. So I just follow, the SMART goal techniques, which is like specific, bring clarity to your goal, then make it measurable, something you can like, yeah, you can measure, achievable, attainable, have some logic about it, and then relevant to me. It might not be relevant to someone else, but why is it relevant to me? Why is that goal important to me? And then time, for me having a time frame is very important, because otherwise, I can just keep something on hold and not do it. It's me personally. And I know a lot of people because I have dealt with a lot of individuals. So, time. So, this is how I go about. So, broader way. And then, obviously, why is the goal important to me? Visualize it. I always visualize the end. Like, how am I going to feel? What difference going to make to me? Whether it's be like, what changes.
Oh, okay, we lost Rupsha. We lost Rupsha. Hopefully, she is back in a moment. Okay, you are
Am I
back.
back?
That was quick. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know where all of you lost
You
me.
just started to talk about visualizing the end and
Yeah,
feeling into it.
visualizing the end. And then, okay, this goal is important to me. That's how I break it down. And then obviously, have a broader and then have those action plans. Like break it down into chunks. So this is how I go about my goal setting. Yeah, because this works for me
Brilliant.
having a time frame. Yeah, this is how I go about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And I resonate with so much with what you just mentioned. I pretty much apply all of those techniques actually. Eisenhower matrix I use for my weekly planning every single week. Like I see it now in front of me on the whiteboard. It's always up there, the quadrants, and I effectively use that every week. We'll talk about this in a moment. Georgette, would you like to continue first?
Yes. Before I discovered SMART goals, um, I I used to do the thing where, my African upbringing, we use God for everything. God will provide for everything, right? And my younger self, especially my 20s, will be able to do a lot of things just by memory and just go ahead and achieve. So of course I felt like yes, I'm this really driven person and all that good stuff. And then as soon as I hit my 30s, very like literally the year before I turned 30, I discovered SMART goals. I did not like it because what it did to me was put a time frame on things which I was not used to. So after that, what I started doing was we are all on a spectrum when it concerns goal setting. And culturally, it could also be different because we also see time differently. So are you on the end where God will provide and you just do? You have no plan, no structure, no anything going on, and you're like, it's gonna happen? Or are you on the other end of the spectrum where you're staying busy all the time, but you're not productive or you're not making any headway? So once I started to find myself on that timeline, things started to get a little bit clearer. And there were some things where, before emotional regulation, before, mind body balance practices, where if something was overwhelming, my brain would just shut it off, especially if it was not important in that moment, and I would move forward. But then what tends to happen is that in the future, the thing that you were supposed to do towards this big giant goal, even after using your SMART acronym, it pops up and it throws everything off, it delays you, sets you back. It has an emotional component to it as well. So the way I do it now is to find myself on that spectrum. And instead of looking at the spectrum and punishing myself for being in God's gonna provide, what I end up doing is, how small is the goal? How irrelevant is it to the big goal where I can say God's gonna provide? And how much action do I have to put into it in order to be in the spectrum where I'm actually being productive and seeing progress, instead of being so busy, nothing is happening, but everybody seems to be observant of me being busy and being productive, right? So, where are you on the spectrum? What goal is on what end of the spectrum? And figure out where emotionally you can place yourself in order to execute that goal, mean take the action plan and complete it. And I last in the first part of goal setting, which I was not present for as well. I was at a conference, fabulous, wonderful conference with some big names, and learned a whole bunch of things. In that session with Sylvia and Anderson, there was a lot of conversation about how to get into that mindset and the things that are important to them and why it's important. The other thing, as with a science background as a nurse, is neuroplasticity. So what goal setting does for you, finding for me, when I find myself on that spectrum, what goal setting does, no matter how small, no matter how irrelevant, is the fact that your brain will rewire itself to achieve that goal. So by virtue of neuroplasticity, we are all capable of anything possible. But I'll drop the mic there and hand it back over to Sylvia.
I loved that last sentence. That's so powerful. And most people underestimate the power we have and our brain have. And yeah, Georgia, thank you for all the sharing. It's amazing. And also there I resonate with so much. Myself having the corporate background for 15 years, of course, I have seen and lived so many ways of planning, goal setting, and whatnot. And smart goals was just something that became natural, that any kind of smaller, big goals, that was just a quick reflection of, okay, is it a smart goal? Yes or no? Do we need to adjust? Yes or no? And then go with it. So that's definitely always there everywhere. But then what I like to do and what is proven to work for me, I separate a little bit business and personal. Especially for business, I go through like 2 days full on goal setting and planning session and beginning of the year. And that goes very, very deep. It's probably way too much for many people. But to give you a glimpse of it, it's really about zooming out, looking at the big picture to then zoom in and break it down into chunks and bite sized pieces. So the zooming out means really that having that big, hairy, audacious goal, which means 15, 20, 30 years down the line, what is it that I want to dream of? What is it that I can now imagine leave as a legacy behind? So that will be my biggest North Star driving me forward. And then to zoom in a little step further, then I look at the 3 to 5 years goals that I already set last year. And then I just reflect, how far is it still relevant? Do I want to adjust or change anything? Usually I don't, because this is it. And then the next step is to, based on that, then define the 1 year goals, just to have 3 to 5 key elements that are defining the way forward. What is it that I want to achieve within this year? And usually they shouldn't be really feasible, because then I get back the answer like, you don't dream big enough. So something that is not that very feasible right now, dream big. And if you achieve half of it, you will be so happy even then, but it drives you forward. So when the 1 year goals are set, and also key results, I work with the objectives, key results, agile concept. The key results will be defining how can I measure each, what will define that it's achieved, it's done in a numeric way. So then the 1 year goals will still remain at rather a high level, but the fun starts when I arrive at the quarterly part. Because the quarterly is where I tune in into the specific details and get crystal clear about what's the matter for the next 90 days. And that counts as a sprint, basically. And then the 90-day goals will be defined very specifically along with the key results, which then, guess what, can be broken down into the monthly targets, which can then be broken easily down to the weekly goals. And that will give you your daily tasks, basically. What is it that you are working on right now? And by channeling this through, I know exactly every single day, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? How does that serve my long-term vision? So I know what to say yes to, what to say no to, mentioning a little bit about boundaries as well. So it serves incredibly well. And of course, it's all documented. And then the planning part is very important, having that weekly planning, which gives me opportunity to reflect shortly on the long-term vision, because our brain, right, Georgia, just loves living in the past and just loves making up stories and meaning about everything based on our past experiences and memories. And being able to just continuously keep our mind on that vision, on that future achievement where we want to go to. Rupsha, you mentioned that briefly. That is gold. And that is how we can powerfully rewire our mind. And we'll give you some more interesting nuggets in the next round. But yeah, with the weekly planning, just listing up all those tasks on the plate, keeping it agile and flexible throughout the week, because life happens. So you may not know on a Sunday afternoon that you get a client meeting on a Thursday, and that's okay. As long as you know, using the Eisenhower matrix, what are the elements that are must be done, that can be scheduled, can maybe even wait, what are the things you can delegate, and what are the elements that are nice to have, or rather consider as waste, and just get rid of those. So this will guide you where to set the priorities, where are the tasks which are non-negotiable, and where you can bring in the flexibility that you need, so that when life happens, then you can still respond properly. So yeah, that's pretty much about my goal setting practices, and I hope that you can take away some great ideas here from this round. And to move to the next phase, what I would love to understand is, and that's a big one, I think, for many, how can you stay motivated on that journey while working towards your set goals? I hear that from so many people, that with super great excitement, they are setting those goals, putting it down on paper, and then 3 weeks later, they don't even know where is that paper gone. They don't even know what they wrote down, maybe. And it just somehow falls completely off track, and they have difficulty to stay consistent and to stay motivated. So what are your secret weapons, ladies, to be able to stay motivated along the way? Rupsha, tell us the secret.
Secret, yeah, that's what you said. Like, you write down the goals, and a lot of us, I have done that earlier. So, you know what? I think for me, that obviously the goal, the important goals, so don't, not too many, that have a few, that power of visualization. Like, it is always like sometimes sit down, like probably weekly, daily, or every 2 3 days, whatever, like sit down, visualize that your goal is completed, you've achieved it. Visualize it, imagine, let your brain go there, let it go, let your creativity flow, visualize it, and then you can stay motivated, like why you came up with that goal, why it happened, how, and then the hows, the actions, the steps. Our brain is that powerful, like we do not know how powerful it is, but it is. Then the connections happen, and we say, oh my god, and we sometimes will be like, oh, how did it happen? But yes, because you're visualizing it, you're believing it, and then the brain makes that connection, the other connections happen. I think that happens. Vision board, like write it down, like in a diary, journal, or your whatever is your could be your thing. But I think having a vision board somewhere, like where you can see it every day, is very important, because it is your daily reminder. You can ignore it, not like try to see it probably couple of days, for a couple of days, but then on the third day it'll be like, oh yes, these are my goals. Why? And then the whys and everything keeps coming. Have a vision board. And I know for some people it works like they have a board, those whiteboard, they write it down, like the larger goal, so that they can see it. However it works, I think, having something visually, it works really well for me, a lot, for a lot of other people. And this power of visualization, which keeps you motivated, that, why, just think about the whys of those goals. Yeah, this is how it works for me. Yes, that.
Love it. Love it. Love the vision board. I have a huge one. It's covering the corner of my living room, basically, on three major canvas. And it's just there, looking at it on daily basis. What can also be powerful is the mind movie. If someone doesn't prefer the vision board and you have fun with just combining videos and putting your favorite inspiring music to it, that is also something incredibly powerful. That just came to my mind while listening to you. But now over to Georgette. I'm so curious to hear what are your secret weapons to stay motivated on your goals.
You all are describing anchors. Those are anchors. Something with all your senses, your physical senses, because the sixth sense is very intangible. Something you can see, smell, hear, taste, and touch. So the vision boards is for the people who need that physical evidence of the dream. And we're all talking about mine. I just ripped a few things down the last couple of days, and it is in front of my monitors in my desk. Then you talk about music. Find inspiring music. Music has That's a whole conversation I can have on music and the power of music. But what we're describing is anchors, right? Something that you can taste, you can smell, you can touch. Pick something, put it close to whatever it is you're working on. And that way it will be a physical reminder on what you're working towards. And when you get that excitement and talking about creating these big, impossible goals, what it does to you when you create a big, impossible goal is that it creates that heartbeat, that excitement comes into play from time to time where you go, oh, you know what? I can do this one action towards that impossible goal. And then when you execute it, you have all the happy hormones flood your entire system that makes you want to go do the things that you already know you are capable of doing. So those impossible goals and leaning into the excitement, because believe it or not, I have met people who get really excited about something they're working on and they try to play it cool and go, but life happens, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, get excited about it. talk about it with the people that are supportive of you, and let them feel it and see it, because if they're truly supportive of you, they will find opportunities for you as well. So community is another secret. It's community. And it does not have to be 10 people. It could be one person who is just your hype woman or your hype man behind you going, remember that thing you said you wanted to do? Guess what? I have an avenue for doing, or I've met someone you can meet, or let's go do this thing, or listen to that. Another big, big, big thing that we get out of when we get older and we're no longer in school is reading. You can plan. I mean, today we have so many avenues like Audible and all the listening things and podcasts and all whatnot. So go pick what I do. I will pick the kinds of podcasts I want to listen to, whether it's for pure entertainment or whether it's for learning or whether it's towards centered towards the goal. But I generally like to have a mix of everything just so I'm not in such full, you know, execution mode towards a goal that I forget to enjoy life. So I tend to mix my movies, I tend to mix my listening, my reading, all those things to get a well-rounded experience to keep you balanced, because the honest truth is it's easy to get carried away when you're in creativity mode or when you're in goal achieving mode, where that's the only thing you're focused on, and every other part of your life seems to have a little bit of lack. So regardless of that excitement and that, yes, I can do this, I always give myself the grace to say, wait a minute, you've been going endlessly for like a week where you're crushing it left, right, and center. What have I done for myself to create some kind of balance and to create some kind of harmony, to where that the goal achieving mode, which I'm on, does not wear me down in the process? Because I'm a health and wellness coach, I see this all the time, and we're all coaches, right? People tend to plateau after a while. Part of it, not all of it, but part of it is because there is no extra, there is no human emotional component that is supportive of the goal. So you still have to tap into your family, you still have to tap into your friends, you still have to have that occasional 4 ounces of a shot if that's your thing. You know what I'm saying? To where it does not feel like you are living just for this thing to be achieved, because once you get there, you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel empty because then now you've achieved this thing, but you have no one around you to celebrate with. You do not have connections enough for it to be a realistic thing that is sustainable for you. So, community is huge. Creating those anchors are huge. And always reassessing where you are on the spectrum of God is in control or I'm just busy to be busy. Back to you, Sylvia.
That was amazing. Wow, Georgette, so many options. I mean, if somebody didn't find nuggets here, then I don't know where, to be honest. And yeah, even the section before where you mentioned about God is arranging everything versus busy being busy, so important to find that fine line between those and function out of alignment. So to listen to your logical, and you need the logic, you need the strategy, you need to take action that will not go without, but then listening to the guidance, be it God, universe, whatever it is for you, that brings that universal powerful meaning. Use it to your advantage and stay in alignment, because that's what brings belief and faith. And when you combine those forces, that there is no possibility that wouldn't exist in this world. So that's very, very strong. So yeah, let me try to add one or two more, just something new that was not necessarily completely covered. One that I really wanted to mention is the accountability and commitment. And it may not work for everybody. So it's very important that you check in with yourself. And again, here reflection comes in, so that you take a moment to reflect on what has worked for you in the past, actually. Think about any goal in the past which you have achieved and pushed through. What made it work for you? And that might be a possibility. Maybe it's something completely different. So get to know yourself more and reutilize the strategies, leverage those that already worked in the past because that will work again in the future. So having an accountability body and making a commitment, keep talking about that goal. If that's really that meaningful and important for you, keep talking about it, and even ask your spouse, your best friend, your colleague, whoever, whatever it is related to hold you accountable on your very next step and the step after that. And that will give you an additional boost of to just do that, at least because you know that you will get the question whether you have done it or not, even if that serves you best. Now, another one is, again, for the logical mind, the tracking and the measuring. So for some people, it works really well when you have a tracker. Nowadays, there are plenty of applications available where you can easily keep track of anything in a visualized way just on the mobile phone. If you still like paper, do it on paper or on a whiteboard or wherever. But measuring something and keeping track of your progress can give you such a boost of motivation that when you see that you already completed 5 times in a row, 5 days in a row, the same activity, you will guaranteed not wanna miss the sixth one and then the one that follows. So it's powerful when you have that visual um, representation of what is it that you are doing and how far you have already came up until now. The other one is ask powerful questions. And especially when you link that to your future vision, it will give you an incredible perspective and motivation to stay on track. One of my most favorite questions these days, and I keep repeating that, I actually put it on my in my journal every single day to remind myself to not forget to remember that question is, how would your future self act and behave in this situation? What if you were already there? What would you do then? And that brings you answers like you just know immediately what is it that you got to do and what is it that you need to proceed with as a very next step. So the visualization Ruksha mentioned a couple of times, there is a powerful exercise called the Mount Everest exercise. Maybe you have heard about it, where it's basically a short meditation practice, a mindfulness practice where you visualize yourself in the future. So you collapse that time a little bit and you talk about it in present moment. And that can be used very nicely for, let's say, that 1 year vision. Where would you like to be at the end of 2024? Just think about it. It is now 31st December 2024. This has been the best year ever so far. It was just perfect as it was. I wouldn't want to change anything. It blew my mind. It's amazing what has happened to say that. And then when you reflect on that and really describe whatever just comes to your mind in the first thought, trust that and write that down, or just remember that and work with that. Because when you put yourself into that state of being, as if you have already achieved what you plan to achieve by that time, and then you start acting with that mindset backwards, that is extremely powerful, because what you always need to remember is what got you here won't get you there. And in order to get there, you also need to get there in your mind, in your entire being. It probably requires quite some mindset shifts, quite some behavioral shifts, and more. So, in order to nudge that, you put yourself, you imagine as if you are already there and ask yourself, okay, if I was already there, what is it I would do now? Or what advice would I give to my present self? And trust that the answers will come. So I think this is very, very, very powerful, and so many amazing practices here how to stay motivated. I hope everybody found something amazing there. And then last but not least, I have one more very interesting subject on the goal setting that I would love to give some insights to our audience. And that is about how can you overcome common challenges and obstacles that may prevent you from reaching your goals. So it's a little bit on the other end of the motivation, right? Like how to stay motivated, all that positive approach. But then on the other side, how can you be prepared for obstacles? How can you be prepared for challenges? Because life happens and those challenges will come. So, what are some practices you can share, ladies? Rupsha, let us hear your voice.
Yes. So, yeah, so when we are talking about goals and reaching the end goal or whatever we are thinking, so there are problems and challenges, and that's when, if I talk about myself, those self doubt and oh, and then you feel okay, should I just keep it aside? And general human tendency, okay, let's look at do something else. And these things happen, and then that goal might get, I'm not a bigger one, but it get keep we keep pushing it away a little, we'll do it later, things like this happen. So one thing is first, obviously, that always that visualization or the vision board or however it works, that how will it make you feel emotionally, physically, as a being, as in your total being, as you said, Sylvia, how you're going to feel if that goal is completed and you're already there, you've already achieved it. So that's there. Feel it. So it's again, it'll keep you motivated even when we are facing challenges. Now, also this other thing, what I feel that we have to cultivate and develop that problem solving mindset and see what are the challenges, see those individual challenges, what is it, break them down, how to go about it. If we can't do it by our own selves, ask for help, seek advice. Community comes in, right, Georgia, that we are talking about. Seek for advice. Sometimes we can feel like we have hit the wall, some block, and it can't work. So discuss, not with 10 people exactly, maybe one or two, or go to an expert, whoever the expert, what, that's your choice, that's what I'm trying to say. Discuss about it. Problem solving mindset, that is there. Also a positive mindset, it's very important when we are talking about goals, anything that we want to achieve, or also about habits, any new habits we want to inculcate. So having that positive mindset, and okay, we might having that positive mindset really helps, that it's fine, because our brain, so when I was doing my NLP, something very interesting I learned, that our brain just can't take the instruction no, like don't do it. Like when we tell a child don't do it, like we have to tell the child what to do, right? So the brain apparently is the same. If we just say no to our brain, it can't understand. So you have to give it another instruction. So the point is, so when we say, when we hit a roadblock, so also reflect, that sit and reflect the way, the steps that I've been taking to reach that goal. Maybe it's time to change, make some changes in those steps. Yeah. So the flexible mindset, a positive mindset, having a problem solving attitude, and also seeking for help. I think these are the things, being flexible and all that, these are the things that will help us to uh, go about the challenges and the problems that we will face actually, while achieving those goals. Yeah. That's my input. Hope it
Thank you,
helps.
Rupsha. Thank you for sharing. Of course, it's super helpful. A lot of interesting insights there. And Georgette, what about you?
So I'm a long distance runner. And so I'm going to use running as an example. So when I first started running, my college roommate is the one who got me into it. She did track when we were in college. And so when we got out, you get to that point in life where you're like, okay, I got the career now. What do I do? Right. and you start enriching your life. And she got me into running, and we did our first 5K today together. And I remember it was St. Jude's 5K in Memphis, Tennessee. It was cold. I had never run in that kind of weather, had no clue what I was doing. I was just happy that I was with her. Literally, it was an emotional journey because that was her first marathon. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. It became a habit. But you have to understand, when you're young, in your super young in your 20s, I could get out in 20-degree Fahrenheit weather, which is negative Celsius, and run and easily hit a 12-minute mile, come home, do all the things, and life is going to be great. And then I had a child and my body changed. And I remember that first run, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'll just get back into it. And everything changed. I could not hit a 12-minute mile. I was really right about a 14-minute mile. And I kept thinking, my goodness, I'm failing at this. So there's an emotional component to when we're not hitting our targets. And unfortunately, the emotional component of not doing or achieving what we want to do, it doesn't only affect the way you feel, it affects the way you think. It stays in your body. And if you do not do the things like Rupsha has suggested, be flexible, stay positive, reach out for help, it accumulates in your body and it causes more stress, such that even when you're doing the next step and you might hit a target, it does not feel like you're hitting a target. So the one thing that I've learned to do, especially being a runner, is to stop, listen, and feel. It is easy to ignore our emotions and go, oh, it's just a setback, because we're intellectual, right? It's a setback. I can get through this, which is 100% true. But in order for you to get through that those setbacks have a huge emotional component. So stop, listen to yourself, and feel your feelings. One way to do it, there's so many ways to do it, but I'm learning the older I'm getting that we need to get back to healing in community. So the people that, hold on a second, I have a sneeze coming. It's gone. One thing I'm learning the older I'm getting is community and how to be in it. Because my older self has been in a community because it's natural, it's my culture, I grew up in that way. But how to be in community is feel your feelings there and let the healing happen, right? As a runner, what I started doing was I said, oh my goodness, I need to find a running community. Community, again, is huge for me, huge. And then I had a running plan, and it evolves over time because, like, we all know life happens, throws you off. So instead of beating myself up and going, I'm supposed to run 3 days this week and I've run only one day, or I was supposed to do 10 miles on my long run and I cannot get through one, I will not beat myself up. I will feel my feelings, call people who are runners who understand it, or the people who get how important it is for me to be able to complete a long run, and just vent there and do the basics. Go back to the basics. How does your body feel? Are you hungry? Are you well hydrated? Are you rested? Do the people around you, are they making the situation worse or are they making it better for you? So you have to go back to basics. Go back to basics. Feel your feelings. And then whatever flexible plan that you have, move forward with that, through that. Say it out loud, because our words are spells, right? You send that to God in the form of prayer. If you're spiritual, you go, it's to the universe. Once you say it out loud, it's great to write it, but once you say it out loud, I did not run 10 miles today, and that sucks, and I'm mad at that. And then I say to myself, okay, next week I'm going to do 10 miles. Say it out loud. It doesn't have to be this big, giant ritual, which for me it is, because I have to say it out loud. And follow through with that. Let those feelings go, free up your body, because our bodies feel first before our brain registers, before our emotions. So imagine if we're feeling all the time, but we are not allowing it to go to our brain and handle our emotions. It just gets stuck over there. And before you blink, you plateau. Before you blink, you don't want to do this goal anymore, or you postpone it. And if you're on the spectrum of God's got me, you throw it to God, like, hey, God's going to take care of the universe is going to handle that. There are many ways to be able to get out of setbacks. And what I find in my own personal life and with coaching anybody is that take care of the emotional components. It sits in your body. And once it sits too long in your body, it wreaks havoc. I hope that helps everyone. Back to you, Sylvia.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Georgia. That was amazing. And all my thoughts are actually all around what you just so nicely described, because I truly believe, not just believe, this is exactly what I'm doing as well, that and that's why those regular check-ins with yourself, and that going with the goals, but stopping for a moment and observing what's going on rather than ignoring what is happening. So when you have any setback, that happens with a reason, just like everything happens with a reason. And try to understand, what is it that you got to learn from this? Or what is the reason that it comes out this way? So, how can you evolve with this experience? And when you really stop for a moment and reflect, and as you beautifully said, really just observe your emotions and be compassionate, so that you reflect on what is happening and write it down, speak it out, whatever works for you, but don't ignore. We just said not to say what don't do, but ignoring it really, ignoring it will harm you more than what it would help, because it will not go away until it gets your attention. It will not go away. So it's very important to be present with ourselves, to be familiar with ourselves, with our responses. And the more self-aware you become, the more quicker you are able to handle these situations and overcome them, because it's not about reacting, and it's not about being disappointed or doubting yourself. We all have that. The question is, how long does it last? And how fast can you overcome, process it, overcome, and move on with a positive, outcome oriented mindset that will propel you forward? Because staying in that negative, low frequency emotions will not get you too far. And when you know that, when you put meaning behind the act, that will too help you to catch yourself quickly, and then remember these tools and put them into action. So that's exactly what I'm doing. The moment I feel I'm starting to be irritated in some way, or maybe disappointed about my achievement or lack thereof, that I was expecting myself, yeah, putting the expectations, expecting myself to be already that far by that time, and then it's not happening, then just get grounded, taking some deep breath, maybe doing a short meditation to just get centered and get grounded and reflect on, okay, what is going on here? And maybe am I setting too high expectations to myself? Or was there something else preventing me getting there? And then that's all backwards. But then when you want to observe potential obstacles forward, you can do the same by just asking yourself the question, okay, what is it that could get in the way, let's say, this following week, for me to achieve one, two, three? What could come into my way? What could be my obstacle? And how can I best prepare myself for that? Because when you have strategies and you already kind of not expect, but aware of what might be happening, it will already help you be prepared, and you will receive it with such a different vibes and emotions overall. So that could be a good approach as well. All right. I think that's it from my side, and that's it from our side. What a wonderful conversation. Yet again, I mean, we keep going with this empowered wellness series for those of you who maybe joined recently, or even that might be the first time that you listen in a little bit. We started this last year in August, and ever since, four amazing coaches, every second week we go live and just have an amazing conversation, something around health, wellness, well-being, leadership, and all these topics that can really help and serve people very well, sharing a lot of wisdom and practices. And we keep going. So please come back. We are going to be here again in just 2 weeks' time, same place. And should you not be able to make it at that time, replays will always be available. Before we close, just quickly going back to the ladies, whether you would like to add anything on a final note, Rupsha.
Oh, yes. What I would like to say is see, goals are obviously very important, but please go easy on your own self, to me as well, right? As Georgette said, Sylvia mentioned, like, it's all right. Obviously, goals are required, but don't like beat yourself up too much. Setbacks will come. Learn from the setbacks. Sit down and to also what I feel like to have goals and to achieve them, it's really, really important to know our own selves really well. Then only we'll know, okay. Because a lot many times what happens, because I deal with a lot of individuals, people are setting their own goals looking or listening to others. So just sit back, know yourself really well, customize your goals according to your own personalities, your own individuality, your support, the support system you have, and then it'll work. So that's what, just go easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much, and all the best for the rest of the year. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful panel discussion once again. See you.
Thank you, Rupsha. Thank you for these nice words. Georgette, anything to add?
Yes. When we plan our lives and we set those goals, sometimes we get to be owned by those goals. Don't let the goals own you. The process is for you. So learn to pursue the goal and don't let it go the other way around because it will just wreak havoc on you. Learn to step back and go, this, I am Georgette. This is my heart. This is my life. And that way, whatever action step or thing that you're working towards does not take over and throw you off balance. That's what I have.
Amazing. Yeah. And the moment the external would take over, then learn to recognize and catch it. Just catch it. Make a game out of it. How often can you catch yourself handing your power over to the outside, to the goal, to the external event or situation, to your colleague, to your spouse, to whoever? Remember that nobody and no thing can ever make you feel in any way. It's you. You are the source. That's another mantra that I keep reminding myself on, and it helps tremendously. Maybe you want to try out. I keep telling myself, I know I am the source. In what way do I need to change the way I think, I behave, or what I believe about certain things so that I can create a different outcome? When you understand that context, it's transformational. Life changes upside down the moment you are able to get out of a victim mentality in general. And I know this is unfortunately kind of considered normal nowadays, but there is a different way of living life. You can always be in control. You can be the boss of your own life if you choose to, and that's definitely just a choice away. I'm not saying it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. The journey is there and it's available for everybody. All of us are here to support you on that journey. So if you would like to have any help with that, then please feel free to reach out to any of us, all of us, at the comment, send us a DM, share what is it that you would like to hear about in the coming sessions. And we will be more than happy to incorporate those topics because we are here for you and not other way around. So we are here to help and serve you all and provide you useful, practical tools, strategies, processes, whatever may help for you to live a better life and a more qualitative life wherever you are. So with that, thank you so much for today. Amazing session. See you in 2 weeks. I'm not going to spoil yet what we are going to talk about. Watch out for the event announcement. Follow us so that you can receive those event announcements. And we are looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you for being here. See you soon.